Yo, what is good? Hey, DFD here. It's time for us to dive into a complaint about something that's been trending news for a while, but this is a new complaint. Some of the facts are different. Some of the facts enlightened us and gave us a little clarity on the alleged operation that Cesar Pina and DJ Envy and the whole crap load of other people who they named in this complaint had going on. So we definitely gonna talk about it. Yo, if you're new to the channel, I'm Marcus, the debt-free dad. I'm a licensed attorney, and over here we talk finances and attorney reactions to current events. Yo, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, if you get anything out of this video, definitely like the video, hit the subscribe button, the bell notification. It'll definitely help out the channel, and I'm definitely grateful for everybody who is tuned in to the content. Always got to give the disclaimer, yo, I'm a licensed attorney in a few places, but none of those places amount to me being your attorney. So if you need a professional on the finance side or the legal side, go hire somebody. Don't go on YouTube and be like, yo, I'm just solely going to use this device. Like, no, go hire a professional in your area to get you squared away. Now, I know we all know DJ Envy, Cesar Pina. If you're watching this video, we know what's going on. We heard about it before. But now something interesting has happened. I've heard, shout out to Pocket Watcher with JT and Tony the Closer. I don't know who coined the phrase. I think it was probably Tony the Closer. One of my subscribers told me Tony the Closer might have actually coined the phrase. But the phrase real estate RICO have been used like almost synonymously with these individuals, with Cesar, with DJ Envy, and their whole flipping NJ alleged finesse that they're dealing with right now. And the phrase real estate RICO just got used so much. Now, guess what? It's the actual RICO case. It's the actual RICO case out there filed against them. So we're going to dive into that complaint. I'm explaining a little bit about, I like to give a little bit of structure, okay? So before we dive in, we're going to go through some of the facts. I'm going to give the quick and fast version because we all kind of know what the facts are. They did make some specific allegations to point out some specific legal nuances. I definitely will give y'all some insight on those particular points of clarity so y'all can understand why they are writing a complaint like this. But we're also going to dive into the RICO Act because this is a civil RICO Act. It's not that Young Thug YSL RICO Act that everybody's talking about. Although they're the same thing, one will make you broke, one will actually take your life away or your freedom. We'll start out with freedom. Freedom, life is all the same thing to me. But I'll break down the differences. So let's go ahead and jump into this complaint. Remember, we aren't going to go too deep into the facts because the facts are what they are. But I do want y'all to pay attention to a few nuances they got out there just to show some specific legal points that we're going to go to. The first thing I noticed is Jared D'Angelo, Chamberlain Group Real Estate Ventures LLC versus, and they named everybody, Cesar Humberto Pina, Warehouse LLC, all of these companies, essentially, all these different LLCs that Cesar Pina owned that he had going on. They threw all of them up in the lawsuit. One of the things that I actually find interesting about this complaint is, if we look here, you see, he got all of his businesses: Trap Landlord, Land Trap Lord LLC. Excuse me. But one of the things that they actually got that's interesting, we see Rashawn Casey, aka DJ Envy, but we also see, if we look through this thing, is actually interesting. Flip the dial: Rashawn Casey, DJ Envy, Jennifer Pena. They specifically named his spouse, and they specifically named his brother, Luis Pena, who was on IG talking real reckless out here like that's just not a permanent record. So, hey, they swept everybody up in this complaint, which was, just from a legal standpoint, I think it was a smart move. Because the question that we all had is, how involved was DJ Envy with this business? Even though he shouldn't have, he hired a real estate lawyer for what could potentially be criminal exposure, which don't make any sense. But he made a comment even after hiring a real estate lawyer. You hire a real estate lawyer before real estate transaction. Not when they say a real estate transaction is bogus. But that's neither here nor there. So he went on IG. He made some comments like, yo, I lost money too. We weren't partners. This complaint was actually well written because they specifically are pointing out ways that all of the people named were acting in concert, were acting in a manner which facilitated a organization trying to defraud people. And just as a side note, if I'm starting a business, this is just me, DFD. If I'm starting a business and let's just give them the benefit of the doubt. And let's say, like most people who have Ponzi schemes, not all, but most people who have Ponzi schemes actually start out, because these are allegations, but most people, when they engage in Ponzi schemes, they actually start from a place of good intent. Then the investments go bad. They trying to get money back. They just trying to dig out of the hole. I would never have my, I would strongly decline to have my spouse participate in anything. One of us gotta have clean hands, right? But they expressly named his spouse in this lawsuit, his brother in this lawsuit, DJ Envy, and they are going to make a connection as to what establishes a partnership with all of them. That's something that we didn't really see in all the other complaints. And establishing that partnership is going to be vital when you're dealing with a RICO, whether it's a criminal RICO because you're running a gang like YSL, allegedly, or whether you're doing a real estate RICO where you just, allegedly finessing people on the real estate side of the game. All right. So we see the wife, everybody else is caught up. We're going to scroll through parties, jurisdiction, background, blah, blah, blah. We know all that. We're going to go and get through that. I know this sounds wild, like I'm not going to be on here long because I got a schedule. And your boy getting old, man. I got to get a certain amount of hours of sleep, or I'm going to miss going to the gym, or my schedule just not going to be the same. So we're not going to, parties, jurisdiction, we already know who the parties are. I gave a brief talk about that. Let's just jump into the facts, okay? And some of these I'm going to skip, but I want to point out the ones that are pertinent. And just pay close attention to the facts that I read that establishes how DJ Envy and how his wife and his brother were also part of this organization, because that's going to be big in this RICO civil case that they have pending right here. Around 2018, defendants Pina, Mrs. Pina, brother Pina, DJ Envy began to partner together to invest in real estate properties located principally within New Jersey. Their strategy by defendant Cesar Pina's account was to buy undervalued properties and foreclosure and renovate them and sell them short-term holdings periods for profit. Some defendants' property were retained and used to generate rental income from residential tenants. Now we're going to see how much is this. I meant to bring out my blue hat because there's a big part of this, but it's downstairs. I meant to bring out my blue hat, but there's a big part of this that I think is capped. And it's this next sentence, paragraph 32. According to recorded statements made by defendant Pina and DJ Envy, their enterprise at some point owned and managed over 200 properties worth probably $100 million. Do y'all think at any point they had that many properties, over 200 properties worth $100 million? Like, I know these are just allegations. This is a complaint. They're going to have to file an answer, but this is a well-written complaint. And just in light of what I know from open source research, I think them owning over 2,000 properties worth $100 million might be capped. That's just my personal opinion. Around 2018, defendants Pina, Envy began to publish. Now, keep in mind, this is where they're establishing that, because DJ's Envy point, when he came out and said something on the Breakfast Club, which he probably shouldn't have, was we were never business partners. And whatever you say when you're not supposed to be saying anything about your legal case, that's the point that everybody is going to attack. That's why it's strongly advised and it would behoove people to just shut the hell up and let the process play out. But if you say, oh, we weren't partners, what do you think the other side is going to do? Okay, you weren't partners? I'm going to prove y'all was partners, damn it. In 2018, defendants Pina and Envy began to publish promotional materials on social media, typically in the form of videos, short informational posts, and other recordings, which depicted them doing walkthroughs of their property or discussing their purported success in real estate. In many of these videos, Pena and Casey refer to one another as business partners. Okay, point number one. Y'all referring to each other as business partners. They began to co-host real estate seminars in New York and New Jersey and other states under the name Flippin' NJ. In 2018, defendants incorporated a business entity, Defendant Cesar and DJ Envy Seminars LLC, to collect income from their joint real estate seminars. These seminars was wild too. I seen how much people was charging for this information that you could get off Google probably. Yo, that's allegedly, but that's wild. As set forth above, Defendant Casey, a radio personality, co-host of Breakfast Club, blah, blah, blah. At some point in 2020, Defendant Casey began to bring Defendant Pena into his radio show as a frequent guest to discuss real estate investing. Hey, that's iHeartRadio's fault. From 2020 to 23, Defendant Casey repeatedly brought Pena on his radio show to market their seminars to members of the public and to otherwise boost their social media presence. From 2020 to 23, Defendant Casey's brought other members of Pena's network on the radio show, including his wife, Jennifer Pena, to discuss real estate in their seminars. Have your wife doing something else with her own business, not your business. Somebody got to have clean hands in these transactions, but that's just coming from a savvy former defense attorney, current prosecuting investigator who handled these types of matters for a long damn time. Hey, I know you want to put family on, but do you, if you're doing something crazy? Probably not. All right, this is interesting. Flipping New Jersey real estate seminars. I wish I could have got real video footage from these seminars, because I suspect that these seminars was probably probably very low speed, not giving you anything that you probably couldn't get just from Googling or doing open source research. All right, they co-operated seminars in New Jersey and New York under the title Flippin' NJ from 2018 to 2022. The seminars were held multiple times per year. Tickets to the seminars ranged from $100 to $200 per person. Some of the most widely attended seminars were held at the Javits Center in NY and attracted upward to 5,000 guests. 5,000 people at $200 a pop. That's $1 million. That's wild that they made that much money off these seminars. And we're also going to learn later on that they also did seminars outside of New Jersey. They did them in New York, New Jersey. I think I saw Florida up there as well, which is going to come back and play an important role because one of the key things for a civil RICO act is it has to affect interstate commerce. That means across state lines. All right. Flippin' NJ also hosted seminars in other states, Florida, Nevada. Pena and Casey marketed Flippin' NJ seminars to members of the public as instructional and educational conferences through which attendees would be exposed to a variety of successful real estate professionals and learn how to invest in properties to build wealth. And however, these seminars were used as funnels to draw victims in to the defendant's finesse, scheme, play, whatever term you want to use, but y'all get the gist of it. All right, now, featured prominently, this is hilarious because I thought this was hilarious. It says, it says educational conferences through which attendees would be exposed to a wide variety of successful real estate professionals and learn how to invest property. Now, the key word is successful real estate professionals. Then we go down the paragraph. It says, featured prominently in these seminars were members of Pena's family and friends, to include his brother Luis Pena, his wife Jennifer Pena, and DJ Envy, and other professionals talking about credit repair, mortgage brokerage, real estate, contracting and construction, and legal services, hereinafter referred to as the Pena Network. I would like a detailed list of everybody who spoke at these conventions because, how and wrestling somebody's the self-proclaimed champ. Like you like I'm the people's real estate guru. Like, no, you calling yourself the people's real estate guru. Advertising for these seminars were done heavily on the radio. The Breakfast Club kept pumping them up. Advertising for the seminars was also done heavily via social media. Before, during, and after speaker presentations at these seminars, attendees were encouraged and at times directly solicited by DJ Envy and other members of Pina's network to invest with us. Hey, again, and note that they got invest in us in parentheticals because the picture that they're trying to draw for these good old RICO, we got to prove that you're an organization, that you all are acting in concert towards some main goal and objective. So all that stuff Envy was talking about, we aren't partners, they're trying to break all of this down in the complaint. And I've seen written a lot of complaints. This is actually a pretty well-drafted complaint. Hey, gotta give them credit. I didn't even see who the attorneys were at the bottom, but this is a well-drafted complaint. All right, here's where it gets detailed. So they're saying, yo, you pay $100, $200 to hear me and my family talk about real estate investing. Now we're gonna solicit you to jump in. That's how all these things work. Like, yo, the course is $59.99, Black Friday sale. But once you get in the course, yo, you can get this masterclass or this one-on-one session. So it says, some seminar attendees will offer opportunities to partner with the defendants and personalized real estate joint venture contracts. Beginning in 22, seminar attendees were also solicited by Pina, Casey, and others to purchase membership and flip the dial, which was supposed to be both a cryptocurrency and real estate networking platform. So if somebody say cryptocurrency, I'm going to be like, a lot of people don't even know what a Genesis block is. Like, I didn't know what a Genesis block was. I had to get up on game. So, like, as soon as I say cryptocurrency, I would really be sketched. Following the speaker's presentation at these seminars, members of the Pina network, including Envy, would set up booths, which they offered private consults with seminar attendees as well as meet and greets. During these public consultations, members of the Pina network obtain phone numbers, emails, and contact members. During these private consultation and meet and greets, members of the network attempted to size up the financial resources of each attendee and solicit individuals sufficiently high net worth to partner with Pina, Envy, and other members of the network in real estate joint ventures. Like, this is actually a common play in marketing in general. In marketing in general, you always want to have a funnel to be able to get contact information. Like, if the only way I know how to contact, supporters, my tribe was on YouTube, and YouTube like shut down and kicked me off, I would be asked out. So what you want to do in any business aspect, whether legit or illegitimate, is you want to create a funnel where you can have people who support and get their contact information. So if a platform that you got, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, goes down, you can directly reach out to your people who are potential customers. Now, I thought this was wild that they would ask questions to be able to identify people who had sufficient high net worth to partner with them. Yo, that's common as well. Real talk. I remember this is a story of how just business entities as well as finessers or alleged finessers, people want to know what you do and how much you make. I can remember I had moved out of state, and I was trying not to be a heathen anymore. So I was like, let me find a church to go to. But finding a mechanic, a barber, and a church are like the hardest things in the world to find. So I'm going to all of these churches, checking them out occasionally, and I was like, yo, I think I like this church. I think I'm going to officially become a member of this church. Yo, they gave me an application packet, and it was like I was filling out for a damn home loan in that month. I mean, that application pack was crazy. But, I get it. People want to know what your skills are because maybe you can volunteer some capacity. But, like, I don't know. I felt a little sideways about a church wanting to know what my profession was. I was like, employed. like, hey, we need to know what we could get 10% of. So what they did here in this alleged finesse that they had going on, they wanted to size up people to find out what this financial situation was And those were the people they targeted because they knew those cats had extra resources. So if your application said that you worked at like Kenny's Shoes or Payless or something, they probably would have been like, yeah, let's just send him a standard email. But this guy who put on his form that he's a government worker for 12 years with a consistent paycheck, let's go ahead and call this brother directly because we know he might have a little bit of disposable cash. But that's a common thing in business. It's actually a smart move in business. Here it just purportedly was used for finesse purposes. During these meetings, Pena also, so think about it, $200 to get up to 5,000 people just to come to this event where they were teaching about real estate and credit repair. I never understood credit repair. My credit was jacked up and I repaired it by just paying my damn bills and stopped taking out credit. But that's a whole nother story. But people would pay $200 to get in the door to get the general information on real estate and finance. Then they were solicited to get a master class. Then after that, during these private consults and meet and greets, after they sized up these guys, Pena also offered his personal consulting services where he made himself available for one-on-one private meetings with guests in his office for flat rates ranging from $1,500 to $2,500 per meeting or more. Like, that's crazy as hell. So these people essentially, once they came in and fell into the black hole, once they fell into the black hole of alleged finesse going on, they paid $100 or $200 to get into the general training. Then they got their email address, contact information, found out where these people were. Then they identified allegedly persons who probably were likely to have some extra income. Then they was like, yo, yeah, I can sign up for the master class. Then on top of that, Pena was like, or you could talk to me one-on-one for $1,500 or $2,500. It ain't nothing. I'll be honest. I'm not paying $25. If somebody's like $2,500 or dinner with Jay-Z, I don't know. I might have a dinner with Jay-Z. It depends. I might have a dinner with Jay-Z for $25. If it's $2,500, I probably had a dinner because the dinner gonna be more than $2,500 because your boy gonna get I'm getting everything. I'm getting the snow crabs, or I don't even eat crabs. I'm getting the snow crabs and the whole nine. But once cats fell into this tunnel for $100, they just kind of snowed that ball downhill and got bigger and bigger. We got you for the entrance fee to the conference. We got you for the master class. Yo, you want to sign up for a personal one-on-one? So, yo, on his face, it's kind of looking finessey, okay? Like, on his face, it's kind of looking finessey. Personal meetings and joint venture contracts. This is very big. Now, we saw in that first session of the facts where they started to point out, like, yo, he would say, come invest with us. They identified and held themselves out as partners. I think this is the most damning because they had what they refer to as joint venture contracts. Whether or not the contracts were valid, the person signing it thought it was valid, and they had a header of joint venture. So this is really important in establishing that there was a partnership and that Envy and the whole Pena network was a part of this partnership. After the seminars, members of the network, Pena's group, would reach out directly to attendees who demonstrated interest in a partnership to solicit them to invest in real estate joint venture agreement. If a person's contacted demonstrated further interest, they would be invited to Casey and Pena's shared office in Ottawa to discuss personalized joint venture contracts. Interested persons were eventually presented with contracts titled joint venture agreements. Joint venture, I'm meeting you and him. Envy. I know you said it's not a partnership, but like, hey, if they look like a duck and sound like a duck and quack like a duck, damn it says partnership, in my opinion. Remember, this is just a complaint, but hey, if what's laid out in this complaint are 100% accurate, and just looking at the videos, the interviews that were done with people, I have no reason to believe that it isn't. Hey, I smell a partnership like hell. These real estate joint venture contracts were typically specific to one or more real properties which defendant jointly owned and controlled, or which investors were led to believe they jointly owned and managed by defendants Pena and Casey. they jumping back and forth with Casey and Envy. Just call him DJ Envy because that's gonna stick harder, I think. I would have just said Rashawn Casey hereinafter DJ Envy because I want y'all to know him as the radio host with the gift the gab and the network to get people to finesse in, get victims or investors, depending on which side of the coin you fall. The contract requires investors to make an upfront capital contribution to buy into the joint venture. The contract represented that the investors' funds would be used to renovate the subject properties and improve their resale value. The contracts promised returns of 125 to 140%. This is the I don't believe you face. Like, come on, 125 to 140%. If they were giving cats 125 to 140% in 5 to 6 months, they wouldn't need these people's $100,000 because they could go get some big ass hedge fund to give them 2, 3, 25, $100 million if it was legit. And, like, let's just be honest. If someone is such a skilled expert at doing real estate, they really don't have time to be sitting down with you doing one-on-one conversations all the time. They should be out there having that feet hitting the pavement, making those real estate moves, in my personal opinion. The contracts promise that if the subject property or properties did not sell, the investor would receive a full return on their capital contribution without the promised premium. Defendants inform investors that their capital contribution funds would be used to renovate, remodel, increase the resale value. The defendants inform investors that they own each property outright. The defendants personally guarantee that each investor would receive at a minimum a full return of principal amount of their capital contribution. The defendants did not disclose to investors that the subject properties were already encumbered by other liens, mortgages, or third parties' interests. That means that, hey, if they own the property, somebody might have had a lien interest over a debt or another claim. It might have had a second, third, 28th mortgage on it, or third-party interest. That just breaks down to somebody else owned the property that they were completely held unaware of. The defendant did not disclose to investors that they had pledged returns on the same properties to multiple investors. In fact, interest in some of the joint venture contract properties were pledged to tens, if not hundreds, of separate individuals. In fact, total investment funds raised on the joint venture contract exceeded the market value of the property. So and I'm gonna go back into this complaint because we do got to get into the civil RICO because I want to break that down, but I want y'all to get the facts first so y'all can see how it applies. It'd be no good if I break it down, then give y'all all the facts, then got to come back and talk about the same shit. But this is just a general rule of thumb, okay? Because the people who were investing in this, this wasn't a Jay Morrison thing where you can invest as little as $59.99. Like, no, people who invested in this thing are putting $100,000, $800,000. People were going into their 401ks, putting the equity out of their house. People were putting a lot of money in this. So let's just think about this from a common sense aspect, okay? Someone pulled out $825,000 from wherever the hell they got it from to invest with a person who is investing in single family homes, not hotels, not multifamily homes, not condominiums with a shitload of units. Think about it. You're giving somebody $800,000 to invest in single family homes. How many single family homes can you buy with $800,000 in certain places in New Jersey? I'm sure you could get a couple, 2, 3. You could probably leverage it, use down payments. You probably could buy a shitload of properties on your own if you had $800,000 to give to these people. So just from a common sense standpoint, like, I just can't rationalize like that would be like, oh, I can invest $100,000 with you to get into the big red trucking industry. No, if I want to get into the big red trucking industry, I could take $100,000, probably buy a used truck, and damn it, I'm in the big rig trucking industry. So it just kind of logically, in my opinion, didn't really make much sense. All right, now let's scroll down. Social media marketing, they threw it all over TikTok, Twitter. All the members of the network operated independent social medias, but were featured and tagged in group posts. Senior Pina's personal flipping in Jay. His brother had Lucci Pina, Lucci Reynolds. His wife, Jennifer Pina, operated social media page, Jenny Tips. DJ Envy had his page, Trap Landlord. So they all got different social medias. They're all tagging each other. They're all acting and conducting as if it's an organization, as if it's a joint venture, to which DJ Envy asserts that it isn't, but it's smelling joint venture-ish to me, in my personal opinion. Now, many of these videos feature DJ Envy and Cesar doing walkthroughs of properties together, which they describe as their jointly owned properties. Many of these videos feature Envy and Cesar promoting seminars. Let me see, shared office. This one was hilarious. Some of these videos feature defendants counting stacks of cash or collecting stacks of cash, which the two represent to be proceeds of rent and other incomes in their real estate business. Man, that was the biggest finesse I probably, like, they was knocking on people's door like, yo, we getting off. You got your real estate rental income check? I got my check. I got 5 checks. How many checks you got? Like, that just sounds crazy. When have you ever seen a real estate investor like holding up a bunch of rent checks that he got from Miss Teresa? That just sounds hilarious to me. During these promotional videos, DJ Envy and Pena frequently refer to their seminars as joint enterprises. During these promotional events, they refer to their real estate property holding as a partnership and joint enterprises. Cesar Pina frequently defended Trap Landlord, blah, blah, blah. Let's get down to victims speak out against the scam and is exposed. That's self-explanatory. Shout out to Tony the Closer. Shout out to Pocket Watcher with JT. Shout out to everybody, the hundreds of thousands of media outlets and YouTubers who actually did all the open source research and did the digging and interviews on this. But in April, the victims speak out. All the skeletons fall out the closet, and them damn things still got some meat on the bones, right? Now, here's where it gets interesting. In the ensuing months, tens, if not thousands, of individuals came forward on social media alleging that they too had invested with the defendants in joint venture properties. The majority of the victims had invested funds with the defendants in large amounts ranging from $100,000 to $400,000. People invested $400,000 into someone, and their business model was, we're buying single-family homes and renting them out. Well, give me $400,000 right now. You know how many single-family homes I could buy to start my own business? I wouldn't even need you. Like, it would be no benefit. The only benefit would be like, oh, I only got $20,000 and it's not enough to really get a good property. But $400,000, you can make some moves with $400,000 to easily not only crack the door open to the real estate investment game, but you could just, wipe your feet off, walk right in, and be able to make some moves instantly, in my personal opinion. Now, let's get down facts specific to the plaintiff, D'Angelo. And let's go down here because he invested after he got contacted. Pena responded and offered plaintiff D'Angelo the opportunity to invest $100,000 in a real estate partnership. After some deliberation, plaintiff responded to Pena in October 22 and advised that he would invest $100,000 in a real estate partnership. Plaintiff was advised that he would receive a total of $130,000 as a return on his investment when the property sold. So they was guaranteeing this dude a 30% return on his investment in a short 5 to 6 month period for plaintiff number one. That's specific to plaintiff Chamberlain Group. Now let's look at how much money they invested with this dude. I'm gonna scroll down right here. Chamberlain, look, this is hilarious. Defendants share a clip from their HGTV show with Chamberlain to induce him to invest and ask him to share the clips with other prospective financiers. Chamberlain ultimately entered into 3 joint venture agreements with the defendants specific to real property located at such and such address in Jersey. Plaintiff invested $835,000 in funds and capital contributions across the property. All right, so now let's go down, and we're not even going to go through all of these defendants. Let's go down and look at the charges because some of them speak for themselves. I want to specifically talk about the RICO allegations. Okay, the first count against the defendants: violations of the New Jersey Consumer Fraud Act. This is self-explanatory. Defendants and their controlled business entities engaged in general deceptive business practices, including operating what was in effect a Ponzi scheme, an investment scheme heavily promoted and targeted towards members of the public on social media. Essentially, Consumer Protection Act violations, I've seen these, I've worked with these, I've prosecuted these, I've investigated these a lot, is government, states, and federal governments put certain rules and regulations in place to ensure that businesses operate in a manner that's essentially held out to hold the best interest of the consumer. Hey, it's fair game to make a profit. Hell, it's fair game to charge 20%, but you got to be on the up and up. It can't be no finessing, and that's in short what that violation is. We're going to scroll down to the next one until we get to the RICO. Second allegation of fraud. I think that is self-explanatory. We don't really need to dive into that one. They fraudulently, false misrepresentation, false assertions, misstatements of material fact, or omitting a material fact. You could defraud somebody by fudging the facts. Here, this paperwork says I own the property. Or you could defraud somebody by omitting a fact. Like, hey, I own the property. I'm just not going to tell you that 65 other people own the property and there's 62 liens against it for judgments that I owe. So, that's what they mean by fraud. Third count against defendant is breach of contracts. For the contracts that they signed, these joint venture agreements to get 125 or 140% return in 5 to 6 months. The resulting damages from the contracts they're looking at is $2 million. Fourth count, negligent misrepresentation. It sounds exactly like what it is. They negligently misrepresented facts in an effort to fraudulently obtain funds or capital that they didn't use for what the hell they said they were going to use it for. Securities fraud. Rental property, investment property is defined as a security under federal and New Jersey state law. So we see how this is securities fraud. Conspiracy to commit fraud, security fraud. The conspiracy is already thrown in there. What's the conspiracy? When two or more people huddle up together to finesse somebody to do some wrongdoing, and they each do an act in the furtherance of the commission of the crime. So, we sat down in our office and had a meeting about flip the dial or whatever the hell it was that they were doing. Let's do these seminars, and we knew the seminars would funnel people down this damn rabbit hole to ultimately get them to invest in something that wasn't what the hell we purported it to be. All right, I think this is the last one right here where it gets interesting. All right, civil RICO violation. Okay, that's the criminal RICO again that the YSL guys are facing, but it's damn the same thing. It's pretty much the same thing. Defendants were operating a racket and making wild and outright fraudulent representations to induce victims to part with large sums of cash in the hopes of making a quick return on real estate flips as they dealt in unregistered and unlicensed securities. Defendant racket included client funneling, marketing program, flipping NJ seminars, all that. So let's back out of this and talk a little bit about the RICO, what the RICO is and how it's used. Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organization Act. If y'all don't know the history, this essentially started in the 1970s, where they were like, you know what? Like, a lot of these mob bosses, a lot of these prohibition things were going on, and we couldn't figure out how the hell to catch these guys. The government was like, they too far removed. They not catching bodies. They not getting caught with a bunch of blow on the table, or they not getting caught with 55 gallons of illegal hooch in their vehicle, in their house. So how can we capture these guys? So they just came out with this law essentially to say, if we can prove that it's an organization that's moving with a specific goal to do something that's illegal or fraudulent, we can use this statute to get you and hem you up in court. So a lot of times you see this with the Young Thug situation. Young Thug, Hey, he was making a bunch of money legitimately through his hip hop industry. But for purposes of RICO, you were the boss of allegedly the YSL criminal enterprise, and this organization was engaged in criminal activity to which you had knowledge of, and you used your resources to help facilitate. The same exact thing holds true when you're talking about the civil RICO statute. But the civil RICO statute is specific because it does have some elements, and I wanted to talk about those because now you'll see how the facts that we read about tie into these particular elements that have to be met. So the statute lays out 7 elements. That means in order to prove that this was a civil RICO violation, the plaintiff has to prove these 7 things. And just from what we know to be facts, based on testimony, based on media outlet, based on some high-speed ass YouTubers out there doing some research, y'all let me know what y'all think. I get y'all opinion about I'll let y'all know if they got all 7. I'll let y'all know what the weak points are. What I would argue if I was on the defense side of the game on this. The RICO is a remedial statute which authorizes enhanced penalties, criminal and public and private civil suits against violators. The main purpose is to attack organized crime. However, RICO's broad provision encompasses many consumer protection and commercial fraud, bribery, official corruption, and security violations. There are 7 basic elements to a RICO action. 1, only persons can be sued or sued, okay? That's just identifying the parties. That's easy. 2, the plaintiff must show that the defendant participated in a pattern of racketeering activity. 3, the pattern must consist of at least 2 acts of racketeering committed within 10 years of each other, with at least 1 act occurring after the effective date of this statute or this law. We're on 1, plaintiff must show defendant participated. We're on 4, the existence of an enterprise, which is the instrument or target of the racketeering activity, is required. 5, an enterprise must engage in or affect interstate commerce. 6, the plaintiff must allege and prove injury to his business or property. 7, the plaintiff must demonstrate that his injuries resulted from a pattern of racketeering activity perpetrated by the defendant. Now, when I say interstate commerce, that provision where they're talking about interstate commerce, let me see something real quick. That essentially just means that it's going across state lines. That's it. And when you see the word racketeering in here, don't let that word get y'all like, well, what do they mean by racketeering? Racketeering just means finesse, scam, play, fraud, illegal activity. So everywhere you see illegal activity or racketeering, you can literally replace that with fraud. So the main points here are a person can be sued. The plaintiff must show the defendant participating in a pattern of racketeering, fraudulent activity. The pattern must consist of at least 2 acts of fraud committed within a 10-year period of each other, one of which has to be after the effective date of this statute. That's met because all these cases new as hell. 4, the existence of an enterprise, which is an instrument and a target of the fraudulent activity. That's why they use all of the language saying, yo, they acted together, they were partners, they held themselves out as partners. So that's kind of where it's at. Okay, in my professional opinion, as we know the facts to be out there, because even though this is a complaint, we can substantiate and corroborate a lot of the things in this complaint, because these people have been all over the media holding up their receipts and showing that the contracts were the same and showing all of that shit. So we can corroborate damn near every fact in this complaint, even though these are just allegations. And so, yeah, it's a crapshoot. It's a straight you know what show, sis. But the thing that's actually interesting about this is because it took me a while to kind of I guess, put it together. Because I was thinking, when I see it, I think of it as, oh, if I was a defense attorney, what I would do as a prosecutor, because that's kind of how my roots came up. Started as a defense attorney, I turned the corner. And so one of the things I was looking at, because a lot of times people are saying, well, why aren't they going at this criminally? Why aren't they going at this criminally? Because if in theory, it would make much more sense for them to go complain to the prosecutors, have the prosecutors actually do a criminal case. Once they're found guilty criminally of all of these fraud allegations, if they're found guilty of all these fraud allegations, the civil case would be nothing to prove because you were already found guilty in the criminal court. So it's an easy domino. We get damn near automatic win. Well, what's the problem with that? Why aren't they going criminally? Why isn't this case going criminally? And it could be one or two things. The first reason it could be because, hey, the prosecuting bodies just probably got bigger fish to fry. Hey, in New Jersey, man, I'm sure it's all sorts of homicides and other frauds that are going on that are a lot bigger than what these guys have going on. Like, just think about thresholds for a prosecutor to prosecute a case. Like, let me see. So the resources is what's going to determine it. So they could have better cases with higher dollar amounts, or it doesn't justify the actual resources to prosecute this. That's point number one. But the second thing we got to think about is, if I'm a defendant and I invested $100,000, I invested $400,000, I invested $835,000 with these chuckleheads, it's no way I want them to go through the criminal process at all. I don't give a damn how much money I lost. Yeah, I want to see y'all go away, but not yet. I would want to, if it were me, I would want to move forward with the civil case first, because I would want to increase my possibility of getting the most amount of money that I lost, that I took an L on, back. It's federal. It's definitely federal. Criminal is a harder burden. I'm just be honest on these facts. On these facts and the amount of publicity that this crap has gotten, oh man, I think it'd be rough to like. Do you really want to be like? Oh, I think it wouldn't be a case I would be excited about if I was a defense attorney defending the criminal allegations, if they were, criminal allegations. But if I'm a plaintiff and I lost money, I would not want to go through, do not prosecute these guys, do not do absolutely anything. And y'all like, well, why wouldn't you want to get these guys prosecuted? They stole $835,000 from you, DFD. I don't give a damn if they took $100 from me. If I file criminal charges against them, you know what they're going to have to do? They're going to have to not be able to work, not make money. They're going to have to hire criminal attorneys. They're going to be caught up in the investigation. They're going to be using so much resources to fight that criminal trial, which is going to, like, okay, these guys go to jail, but they broke as hell. Y'all remember how come Irv Gotti went bankrupt, was fighting the criminal case. When you fight a criminal case, it's expensive as hell to do. And if I lost money, I'm like, no, do not waste your money on the criminal case. Let's try to go after them civilly. Let's go after them civilly, where we can either get a settlement or we can get a judgment. And I will have a higher probability of getting a higher percentage of my losses back. If they went through a full-blown criminal trial, whatever you thought if you would have got 40 cents on the dollar, now you're probably going to get 5 cents on the dollar. So it makes sense why the alleged victims in this case, or why the investors, or however you want to define them in this case, are really pushing all of the civil stuff. One, is not really up to them, but the plaintiff in these cases, in the civil cases, are all the individuals. The plaintiff in the actual case, if it was a criminal case, it would be the state. It would be the state of New Jersey. It would be the government. The government would be the prosecuting body to say, yo, these dudes finesse all of this stuff. So it would be like state of New Jersey versus Rashawn Casey, Cesar Pina, and the whole Pina family, if it was a criminal matter. But of all the in this civil RICO case, let's see which element. If I was a defense attorney and they have to prove all seven, which one of these would I think is the most difficult to prove? One, no. Two, the plaintiff must show the defendant participated in a pattern of racketeering activity. Definitely not three. It will probably be the the existence of an enterprise, which is the instrument or target of racketeering activity. The plaintiff must, yeah, it would probably be exactly what DJ Envy said when he was on the radio, which his real estate lawyer probably told him to say. It would probably be elements 3 and 4. And I don't think, just with what we know and can corroborate, I don't think they're the best arguments, but I think those are the only 2 out of the 7 that you could legitimately attack. Prong number 3, that number 3 says, the pattern must consist of no, not 3, because that's no, we got 3. No, it's 4. Number 4. The existence of an enterprise, which is the instrument or the target of racketeering activity, is required. That's probably the only thing or the best thing that the defense attorney can try to poke at. And essentially, the argument would be that there was no enterprise. If I'm DJ Envy, I'm arguing that our relationship and business partnership ended with the seminars and the master course. Outside of that, I can't speak to anything that he did with regard to the properties. Now, is that a strong argument? I would say hell nah, considering that when people were signing these contracts, DJ Envy was present. And according to this complaint, it looks like that it just gave the appearance, and an objective, reasonable person would assume that they were acting as a unit. So, yeah, I don't think it's the strongest argument in the world, but, hey, you got to make some type of argument, and it's going to be a complete crap show. Envy's criminal exposure, yes, there's exposure there. I'm kind of shocked that nothing has came up until this point. But, as we know, these things don't go, as you know, these things can linger around forever, statute of limitations long as hell. So they're not going anywhere. And you will trust me, if and when these civil matters get resolved and people start getting settlements or they get judgments, they go to trial and they're getting pennies on the dollar, that's when you're going to see criminal complaints come down. Because at that point, at that point, the plaintiff's going to be like, man, I filed this lawsuit. I only got back 20 cents on the dollar of the 800,000 that I lost. There's nothing else to be recovered. You know what? Throw these sons of in jail. So that's when you're going to see a lot of criminal complaints likely come up once all of these civil matters have kind of been resolved. And like right now, I think, if I'm sitting back and I'm the government, I would be like, nah, let them do all the legwork. Let them get all the evidence. Let them do everything. Let them go on their Breakfast Club and on IG and self-snitch, and we'll come back and utilize all that stuff later at a later date. But, that's how the whole civil RICO thing works. It really works the exact same as the criminal RICO. There's a fraudulent enterprise. Yeah, because the statute of limitations on this stuff, it could be 5 years from now and they still could wrap all of these things up, especially with the conspiracy. Oh, man, conspiracy has the ability to extend statute of limitations for criminal matters. So, yeah, it could be 5, 7. If they throw some wire fraud charges in there from when persons transferred the money from their bank account to a bank account owned by like Pina or Envy, man, the statute of limitations for those charges are so flexible. It could be 5, 7, sometimes 10 years. and they still have a right claim in criminal court if it gets to that. But that's it for this story. It looks, it smells like a partnership to me. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Yo, check out tomorrow's video. I'm gonna drop a video. And I always love these stories. It's about a guy who was a secret millionaire. This dude, nobody knew this dude had like M's in the bank. Now, what he did with the money when everybody found out, we're gonna talk about that and debate that, but that's gonna be a video for tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, got some value, entertainment, learn something, subscribe, like this video. I appreciate y'all's support. I thank you. I'm grateful. I'm humble. If it's something that y'all want to see, want to talk about from a finance perspective, from an attorney reaction, y'all let me know. And I'm probably going to give y'all an update because your boy been doing Instacart because I wanted to see how it go. And I wanted to know, because somebody actually make a livable wage doing Instacart. And so I had a week or so off, and I was like, I'm going to see how much I can make doing Instacart for a certain amount of hours. And woo! Instacart is work. I tell y'all that. Y'all take care. If you enjoyed this video, check out what's on the screen. There's going to be more content related to finances and attorney reactions. Hey, I appreciate that, sis. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm grateful for your support as well as everybody else. Take care. Be blessed, y'all. Peace.